Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello, I would like to introduce myself first. My name is Wulan Anjarwati Kusuma. My class is 304825 and I'm majoring in English literature and I'm from UBSI CENGKARENG. And here in the poetry appreciation final project, I have already analyzed the poem that there is a intrinsic element and extrinsic element. And before we start, I would like to read this poem. The title is Out Out by Robert Frost. The bus so snored and rolled in the yard and made dust and dropped soft-lying sticks of wood. Sweet can't stop when the breeze drew across it, and from their doors that leaf eyes could count 5 mountain ranges, one behind the other, under the sunset poured into Vermont, and the south snowed and rolled, as it ran like or had to be allowed, and nothing happened. Day was all but done. Call it a day. I wish they might have tried to please the boy by giving him the half hour that a boy counts so much when safe from work. His sister stood beside him in her apron to tell them supper at the word the soul, as if to prove Saul knew what supper meant. Leap out at the boy's hand, or sin to leap. He must have given the hand, however it was. Neither refused the meeting, but the hand. The boy's first outcry was a rifle loud. As he stood toward them, holding up the hand, half in appeal, but half as if to kick the life from feeling. Then the boy saw all signs. He was old enough to know, big boy, doing a man's work through a child of heart. He saw a spur. Don't let him cut my hand off. The doctor, when he comes, don't let him sister. So, but the hand was gone already. The doctor put him in the dark of either. He lay and pulled his leg out with his breath, and then the watcher at his foot took fright. No one believed. They listened at his heart. Little, less, nothing, and that ended no more to bird on there, and they, since they were not the one that thrown to their affairs. Okay, the next there is analysis the poem, and the first there is an intrinsic element, and the second there is an extrinsic element, and the first in intrinsic element there is a imagery. Line 1. One of the big sensory image in the poem, the sound of the south snowlet and rock. Most of you readers have probably heard a sound before, but notice how Frost combines an animal image, snow, with a machine like one radar. This is crucial to Frost's message. And line 3, the sawdust was sweet, still when the breeze drew across it. Not only do we have smell here, but we also have touch, how the wind feels when it blows by. And line 5, again, we get the standard but beautiful New England sunset. Notice how by line 5 into the poem, we've already hit almost all of the sense. And line 7, this snowing and rolling is everywhere. Why? Frost hammer home the repetitiveness of a machine like the sound. It doesn't think or feel, it just repeats. This is important also because the soul as a character is merciless not in the sense of cruelty, but in the sense that even an animal soul lacks of mercy or feeling. And line 19, The boy's first cry after signing his hand is a rueful or a regretful laugh. Essentially, this scene is so tragic because the boy almost loved at what could have been something huge, and then realized that it isn't like something huge. And the last line, 32, Frost is never more tragic and never more simple than in his description of the boss that little less nothing. Crucial here is the line of sound rather than a burst of them. Silence can contest that, and so the winding down of sensory imagery here alerts us to that presence. And the next in there is a alliteration. Alliteration is one of the more prominent poetic devices in art. Despite the poem lack of overall rhyme time or structure form, the frequency of repeat sound makes it still feel lyrical. Alliteration is first used a way to bring the threatening noise of the bass saw to life. The bass saw snarled. Immediately, there a hissing, menacing quality present that suggests the contextual violence of the sound. The alliteration continues thickly into line 2, and met dust and drops soft laying stick of wood. There is something almost methodical to the placement of this sound across the line, suggesting the repetitive process of using the saw to cut equal piece of wood. Line 3 also use alliteration, meaning that the first three lines all use the device creating an atmosphere thick with melody within an otherwise distinctly unpoetic poem. Sweet sense of these three as also known as sibilants, convey the sweetness of the woody smell as the bass saw make it cut. Another key use of alliteration comes when the boy's hand meets the saw. Here, breath, eight sounds in line 17 are used to indicate shock and shortness of breath as the boy realizes what happened. He must have given the hand, however it was, and the same sound is then repeated in lines 20 and 21 as he swung towards them, holding up the hand, half in appeal, but half as if to keep. Finally, it's important to note the alliteration that occurs in line 32, which also used as the tone, little less, nothing, and that under it. This line depicts the boy's fading heartbeat. Cleverly, the two I sounds occur together to indicate when the boy's heart is just about still beating. But once the pulse has entirely gone, the I sound disappears, nothing. And next, there is a assonance. Assonance is the repetition of vowel sounds in the identical line. For example, the sound of O in Ahmed does and drops tall period stick of wood, and the sound of I in Hilai and puff his lips out together with his breath. And then next, there is a personification. Personification is to provide human traits to inanimate objects. For example, the soul which is compared to a buzzing sound is personified. The ball saw twists up and roll within the yard, and made dirt and drops soft period sticks of wood. Frost used personification as a method to give the ball saw an aggressive and somewhat animalistic persona. The repetition of the pairs snort and rot really drive home the impression that the ball saw is dangerous. Overall, this form creates quite a strong anti-technology sentiment. And the next, there is a juxtaposition. Juxtaposition is an overarching technique used throughout first make use of it in the first section of the poem when he described the contrasting qualities of nature versus an industrial nation. Another juxtaposition can be observed between the first and the second half of the poem. The mood of the poem in the first half is relaxed and maybe even boring. Life seems to be going as normal. However, in the second half, the mood instantly changes when the boy's hand makes contact with the saw and chaos ensues. And there is a symbolism and onomatopoeia. In symbolism, at the start of the poem, first describes the sunset behind the mountains. This could be seen as a symbol that foreshadows the boy's forthcoming death. And in onomatopoeia, it refers back to the past related to the natural sounds of animal or objects. The poet has used the palace bells, tangled up, and rattle are examples of onomatopoeia. And next there is a speaker. Throughout the majority of the poem, the speaker maintains a detached perspective, and the narration is objective for the most part. However, the speaker emerges from the screen of objectivity to voice an opinion about the situation. Just before the tragic incident, the speaker expressed, "I wish they might have said to call it a day." Here, the speaker refers for knowledge of the event and his wish that destiny would have been more favorable to the young boy. And the last, there is an enjoyment. Enjoyment is when a line is aimed before its natural stopping point. Force makes out of this technique to enchant the tension during serious parts of the poem. This technique can be seen in use in line 21. Just after having his hand severed, the narrator describes the moment that the boy saw the extent of damage, sign he was old enough to know. So there is a interesting element in this poem. Robert Frost was born in San Francisco, but his family moved to Lawrence, Massachusetts in 1884. Following his father's death, the move was actually a return, for Frost's ancestors were originally New Englanders, and Frost became famous for his poetry engagement with New England locals, identities, and themes. Frost graduated from Lawrence High School in 1822, a class part. He also shared the honor of CO valedictorian with his wife, to be Eleanor White. And 2 years later, the New York Independent accepted his poem entitled My Butterfly, launching his statue as a professional poet with a check for $15. Frost's first book was published around the age of 40, but he would go on to win a record for Pulitzer Prize and become the most famous poet of his time before his death at the age of 88. And to celebrate his first publication, Frost had a book of 6 poems privately printed. 2 copies of Twilight were made, one for himself and one for his clients. Over the next 8 years, however, his success in having only 30 more poems published during this time. Frost sporadically attended the Mount and Harvard and earned a living teaching school and later working a farm in Derry, New Hampshire. But in 1912, discovered by American magazine constant rejection of his work, he took his family to England, where he found more professional success. Continued to write about New England. He had 2 books published: A Boy Will, 2013, and North of Boston, 1314. which established his reputation so that his return to the United States in 1915 was also a celebrated literary figure had put out an American edition of Note of Boston in 1815, and periodicals that had once scorned his work now saw it. And uh, the next instruction, there is a elaborate the message of this poem, and this is the message from this poem. That is, prose out can be discussed as a poem that can shock a reader because of the topic of a child's tragic death. However, the overall meaning of the poem is broader because the author tries to attract the reader's attention to the problematic situation in the American society in the 1910s and to make them think about the cause that lead many parents to send their children to work. In order to accentuate the tragedy of the accident, Frost used vivid imagery, personification, onomatopoeia, and alliteration in order to present the boss soul that caused the boy's death as an evil being that was not sympathetic to children and their needs. In this context, all the surrounding the boy during the last minutes of his life are also less sympathetic than it is expected because they are completely constrained by the life circumstance. And the last, I have already made a part that there is a simile and metaphor, and the title is Whisper and Shadow. Whispers of wine, a metaphorical sight, love flame, a simile soaring height, held like a compass, guiding my way, eyes, windows to the soul balance, time, a thief in the night's disgust, dreams, delicate butterflies in the skies, hope, a gentle bird with wings to man, life, a tapestry where stories blend, longer like sunlight, warming the soul, fear, a shadow devouring the world, strange, a mountain standing tall and grand, fate, a lighthouse guiding me to the land. Okay, that's it. I think it's the end, and for the explanation that I already analyzed on this poem, the title out by the Robert Frost, and thank you for the watching this video, and wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.